out there somewhere. All right, state lawmakers are pushing to an act that would make a college education more affordable for the middle class.
Wow, that's great news. Joining us this morning to talk about it is Assemblyman Nathan Fletcher. Good morning to you, Nathan.
Hey, good morning. Thanks for having me.
Everyone loves to hear that kind of news.
Well, it is. And the beauty of what we're doing is we're taking action to make California a more competitive place for job creation. California-based businesses, small businesses, trade associations have said you need to eliminate a loophole that encourages sending jobs out of California. Make us more competitive. Eliminating that loophole brings $1 billion in new money into the state, and we can invest that money in education, in particular in higher education, by reducing the cost middle-class families have to pay.
Now, there's the reason for that loophole is there's a redundancy in the laws. Is that what?
Yeah, there's basically two tax codes, and businesses will pick which one they want to file under. So naturally, they'll look at both of them and they'll figure out which one they pay less. What it ends up happening is the out-of-state companies pick one, the in-state companies pick other. But it's not the job of tax policy to create an incentive to benefit out-of-state companies for moving jobs out of California. It's a job of tax policy to create an incentive for economic growth in our state and to provide steady, reliable revenue so that we can fund things like education, public safety, and infrastructure. We're one of the only states in America that has this reverse incentive. And so we're going to eliminate that loophole at the request of California-based employers, create the proper incentive, use that new revenue to really invest in education.
And when invest in education, how much money are you talking about? And for a family that's sitting watching right now and thinking, I can barely get my kids through college, how is that going to affect them?
Well, so it's about $1 billion a year that'll California, and I think one of the most important things we can do is that investment in education. And you've seen over the past few years with budget cuts that the cost, particularly for UC and Cal State, really skyrocketed. And it's become unaffordable for a lot of middle-class families. And so what we're saying is for families who are stuck between that level of, a lot of families have financial aid. They don't make enough money. They have financial aid that covers their kids' education. Families that make a lot of money can afford to send their kids, but for those in between, they make too much money to qualify for financial aid, but not enough money to actually pay for it. We're going to lower by 2/3 the cost that their kids will pay to go to UC or Cal State.
Doesn't sound like you'll get opposition to this. Do you expect any?
Well, there is opposition to it. There's opposition from two camps. The out-of-state companies that currently benefit from the $1 billion loophole don't want to pay. Now, these same companies that are opposing what we did supported what we did in the states where they actually employ people. So it's not my job to take care of out-of-state employers. And then, we're in a political environment where you can't have rational conversations about tax policy. And so you get a lot of ideological and partisan opposition. But California students are clear they want it. California employers are clear that they want it. And a bipartisan group of legislators is trying to get it done. So we'll see.
We've got to ask you, Nathan. Last week we talked to Bob Filner. He's running for mayor, and he said that he wanted you to be his deputy chief mayor. What are your thoughts? Have you spoken to him? Have you responded?
Well, I've said, both candidates rightly, I think, have targeted the base of support that we had in the campaign. And I think that's a good thing. Because in the primary campaign, they both offered something in stark contrast to what we offered. And I think it's good to see both of them begin to talk about being more collaborative, begin to talk about being more bipartisan, begin to talk about solutions. I've said that any mayor is a regional leader, and if they ask for your help in addressing the needs of a city, you have to consider that. But I'm not looking for a job on the staff of any elected officials.
All right, and want to get your thoughts on Lilygate that just occurred here in this past week at Balboa Park.
Well, I would hope both candidates, in terms of the impact on the mayor's race, would get focused on issues that matter. And I think all of San Diegans want that. And the substantive issue that matters as it relates to Lilygate is the fact that we have record low staffing of the San Diego Police Department. When you look at the number of officers we have, it's something like 16 officers per 10,000 residents. The city of Chicago has 47 officers per 10,000 residents. Now, we don't need 47, but our officers are doing more with fewer resources, with fewer officers, with less hours, with less special services that are out there. And I'll just tell you this, with what has been reported as a 130% increase in gang violence and murders, I want the police officers focused on people with real guns, committing real crimes in neighborhoods, not on water guns.
Yeah, that's the real issue.
Nathan, thank you so much for stopping by this morning.
Absolutely, good to see you. Thanks for having me.
Appreciate your time.
Coming up on Good Morning.